Hello, and welcome to Book 6, Chapter 8 of You Should Be Reading. Today, I would like to talk about Wyrd Sisters by Terry Pratchett. That's right, another Terry Pratchett book. And this one is not only the beginning of the Witches series, dealing with Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg and Magrat Garlic, but also it is kind of the beginning where Terry Pratchett started to really delve into the realm of parody. And by that I mean the story of Wyrd Sisters is largely a parody of the play Macbeth. And maybe some of the other works of Shakespeare, kind of, but mostly just the parody of that play. Like, the story largely follows the same beats as the story of Macbeth. They even outright parody some of the scenes from that play in there. It's really quite something else. And it's kind of like the beginning of it. Before this, the previous 5 books in the Discworld series haven't really, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong. It may be one of them may be parodying a work that I'm simply not aware of. But largely, I have found that those first 5 novels tend to just parody like a pastiche of things, a potpourri pot, if you will, just a bunch of different things thrown in and mixed together. Not a parody of one single story kind of running as the theme or a through line throughout the whole novel. But Wyrd Sisters does, and I believe that's the beginning of it. And in it, we are introduced to the witches, the Wyrd Sisters, where instead of having like Macbeth being the focus of the story, it's the witches and why they get involved in things. And Pratchett, for uh, all of his style, it is firmly evident here. It is the beginning, kind of the Discworld proper. Where it began in Mort and picked up through sorcery into Wyrd Sisters. These 3 books are where the ball really gets rolling for the Discworld, and while the 7th book after that, which I will be covering in the future, kind of it kind of veers, it being a standalone that it is, it still does more to flesh out the world. And yeah, this is where we meet, as I said, Granny Weatherwax, Nanny Ogg, and Magrat Garlic, the 3 witches, the maiden, the mother, and the other one, the crone. And Magrat is absolutely she's a character that is kind of a wet blanket and also just a really cool character. Absolutely a send up of like New Age, Wicca, and witches and whatnot, but stuck in a fantasy world. Even though, despite all of the stuff that she gets into, she still knows how to actually do like magic. She still knows how to do witchcraft, and she just wishes that things were a little bit more like she envisioned, and is trying to like put that into things. Nanny Ogg is basically, as a character, like the matriarch, like the mother, of course, but she is like the matriarch of a massive family, and it shows in her character. She is at once both the kindest, sweetest old woman that you will ever meet, and also a terrible force to be reckoned with should you get on her bad side. And then there's Granny Weatherwax. And Granny Weatherwax is like, how did they put that? There's a thing, a blurb about this book, and it's on the back of it, but it's way over there. I'm not getting up to get it, but it basically says that like witches like don't have leaders as a whole, and Granny Weatherwax is like one of the most widely respected and most listened to of the leaders that the witches don't have, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And like she's one of the all-time greats when it comes to witchcraft. And she is just this intense person that will find fault with anything and yet will still help people. Like, nobody really talks to her unless they need something. Like, there's no socialization when it comes to Granny Weatherwax. You can't really, like... You could invite her over for tea, but nobody usually does. Because they're afraid of her. She gives off this intense vibe. And, yeah, she just kind of, like, lives alone and has this solitary life for the most part when she's not interacting with the other witches. And it's because of this solitary life that she has become very, very good at witchcraft and other things that she does. One of which, I don't believe it's in this book, but it's in a future one, so I'll talk about it then. But what happens is, in this book, somebody ends up killing the old king of Lancre and tries to get rid of like the rest of the family. There's a baby that gets like safely smuggled out of the castle, and instead of getting out of the kingdom entirely, the baby lands in the hands of the witches, and the witches decide that they don't like this new king and everything that this new king's going to be getting up to. So they're like, we're going to get this baby out of the kingdom, and then, 15, 18, 20 years down the road, the child will come back and take over. They'll set that in motion. What's 18, 20 years to a witch? Not really much time at all. So they go to do this, and then the new king, really starts making trouble for the witches, and they decide, you know what? We're going to speed this up. So they go and time shift the entire kingdom of Lancre so that, or rather time slow it down, so that the rest of the world moves faster than they do. And basically so that the baby grows up to be an adult and can come back sooner. And this is where the whole Macbeth really starts taking off. There's outright homages to some of the scenes from the play. It's really quite funny. I'm doing it a terrible disservice talking about it in this way, but it's just good British writing, good dry comedy, and a lot of really quite funny moments. Like when the witches decide to conjure up a demon, and they do it using laundry water instead of an actual cauldron, because that's what they have on hand, and they can just make it work. Is great. I quite enjoy Terry Pratchett's work, and as the beginning of The Witches, it's a good one. I still haven't read the last book, The Shepherd's Crown, which I own. It's on my shelf. I bought it when it came out in paperback or in hardcover, and I just haven't got around to reading it because I know I'm going to cry when I do. I know it's going to happen. But anyways, that is a rough description of Wyrd Sisters by Terry Pratchett. And it is one of those books that has a firm place in my heart, as many of the Discworld books do. But as the beginning of the witches and their wonderful journeys, it's a good one. It's not technically the first book that Granny Weatherwax is in. That was the third book, although there were some slight character differences. But I attribute that to him not exactly having a handle on the Discworld and what he wanted to do with it then. As I said, Mort and Sorcery and now Wyrd Sisters was where he really the ball started rolling and there was momentum behind it, and he was really getting a handle on what he wanted to do with the world. The first 3 books were, a little bit, he wasn't sure what he was going for or what he was doing with it. They were kind of largely, the first 2 kind of worked together. The third one was a complete difference, and it was like he was doing different things in a lot of the early stuff. And so it wasn't until Mort came along and then Sorcery and Wyrd Sisters where I feel from his writing that was when he was getting the handle on what he was doing, what he wanted to do with it, where he wanted to take it. And from then right up to the end, it was full steam ahead. So yeah, that's going to be it for today. I can't believe I got about 12, 13 minutes out of this. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you have been enjoying my videos and all the stuff I've been putting out. As always, please leave a like and a comment. Tap the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And keep doing your self-care and hydrating and all that good stuff. And until next time, remember, you should be reading Wyrd Sisters by Terry Pratchett. And I'll see you next time.